In the name of the Friends of the Secession, it's with great pleasure that I'm welcoming you to the exhibition talk in the context of Anna Daučíkova's show here. Dear Ancha, that's what you like to be called, I was told. You have not shied away to come yet again to Vienna, yet again from Prague, to speak to us tonight. Thank you. Thank you very much. I will leave your proper introduction up to Hedwig Saxenhuber, who I'm welcoming here as well.
Thank you.
Hedi, as she's known here in Vienna widely, where she lives, is a curator and the co-editor of the contemporary art magazine Springerin. Hedi has an extensive bibliography and biography, which I will not bother to read to you tonight here, because it will take away much too much time. I would like to mention, however, in this context, that she has been curating exhibitions relating to the subject matter of feminism and queer practice since 1994. For instance, the legendary exhibition Oh Boy, It's a Girl, in the Kunstverein Munich as well as in the Kunstraum Wien. At the Secession, she was part of the curatorial team of Joseph Kotsut's exhibition Play of the Unsayable, dedicated to Wittgenstein. Here, in our institution, she has also curated a show for the Wiener Festwoche in 2013 called The Unrest of Form, correct?
Thank you.
Anna's and Hedi's paths have crossed often in the past decades. Most recently last summer on the Semmering, out of all places, in the exhibition Land, Besitz and Commons. And here I'm giving over to you, Hedi, to introduce Anna. Thank you very much. I wish you a good conversation.
Thank you for... Yeah, good evening. It's really a big pleasure for us to see so many friends and artists and such a lot of people here today. Anna Daučíková, she is not the first time here in Vienna. And a lot of works we have seen already, we could already see. But what is outstanding, it's a really an overview about your work. I think it would be very nice if we had it. You had this overview the first time in 2018 at Kunstwerke in Berlin. It was you got the sharing prize, and afterwards you had a lot in personal exhibition in Bratislava and in Prague, I think.
In Bratislava, and you came.
I
one
came
of the few
okay.
because it was COVID.
And
yeah.
And now this year you had a personale or a big overview at Vitoria Gasteiz in Spain. So they had in the 10 year from 2007 to 2011 there was a curator, Xavier, who was a transgender person. Do you know him?
No.
Yes. Okay, I'll tell you afterwards.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Really?
Oh, you mean Arrakis?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Xavier is not familiar to me, but Arrakis, I call him Arrakis. Of course. Yeah. Arrakis, I know, and Arrakis is wonderful. Yeah, sure. I'm sorry. This will happen with me. Yeah, okay. Until I get oriented.
Yeah, maybe one of your most celebrated participation was Documenta. It was the most important exhibition or participation in an exhibition, I think. You had in 2000, when was it? 2020, you had an exhibition at Washington, at the Institute Walker Corner at Washington, where Ruth was the curator. You had a lot of participations in group shows at Württembergischer Kunstverein. You made work for us for the Kiev Biennial in 2015. Yeah. So I think now you are really a person in light. So it was in the last 10 years you really.
Yeah, it was exactly the Kiev Biennale where for me, my countdown came. You know, it was really like the first important, great exhibition where suddenly my piece was there and this connection with Ukraine suddenly worked. Yeah, so from there we can say somehow I sort of start to be visible. Yeah.
This is really good, yeah. And people who don't know her biography, Anna Daučíková, she was born in Czechoslovakia. It was in Bratislava. She was grown up, and then you visited the academy, and you went to a department of architecture and glass making.
Glass making. Yes.
And was it your selection, or you had no chance to get another one because?
I was not accepted to academy 4 years, so I completely resigned on painting. I thought like I will be a painter, but then there was a glass department, and I felt like let's try something completely unknown to me, and I was accepted, you know, and even kind of successfully. It was a big surprise for me, but it was a really good luck also with the education with Mr. Ziegler, who is still living. He is over 90, living in Prague, kind of Nestor of the glassmaking in Czechoslovakia. Czechoslovakia is a good thing.
And did you like before to work with glass? Because glass is really went through the whole profession. Yeah? From the beginning, you have really a very really a good relation to glass. What we can see, yeah.
Exactly. I sort of fell in love with the material, and it was due to the education, due to Ziegler, who gave us some kind of another understanding. It was a little bit like Japanese approach to materiality. You know, a kind of spirituality he tried to put around, and also in this situation of it was 70s, yeah, and in this situation of ban on a lot of art, and first of all, like division between Western bad art, you know, modernism, and the Eastern social realism, which was a kind of a prescription how to do. And Ziegler was exactly in nowhere of these two things, and obviously not following the order of the regime. And so our education was in fact a modernist education. And modernist education was
extraordinary.
It was rare. It was rare, and that's why I'm saying it was good luck to get there, to decide for glass and not being a painter, which really meant to do the realistic thing in the line of the politics. Yeah.
And was it meant to become more somebody who makes a handicraft with glass, or was it really I am an artist and working with glass at that time?
Oh, it was tricky because the glass at that time was taken for applied arts, as if, yeah. But Ziegler managed to smuggle into this kind of neutral and politicless kind of situation the geometrical abstraction, you know, some kind of even land art. He was doing some kind of land art, you know, the glass pieces, you know, bridging the lake somewhere, you know, on photography, of course, not there because we couldn't travel. So there was suddenly the situation when we understood what is happening in the world, but from few papers like Domus, sur architecture, where the pictures were black and white, mostly. Yeah, so we had this kind of different understanding of what is there over the border, and we felt our inclination to this kind of thing like minimal art, and abstract expressionism. We felt it as a political act, that we are dissident within the country, which is, praying, preaching, the worker class and happy future in the paintings of the beautiful, landscapes and so on. So I don't want to say that everything was like that. I don't want to say that the art in Czechoslovakia was only this dogmatic, figurative and figural things. There were people who were doing a lot of good things, and we all know now these names.
Yeah, for sure.
But at that time we felt like being in complete isolation and kind of really alone and sort of not allowed. And it ended also this way, that Ziegler was thrown out from the academy at the end. Even he was a communist, but he was thrown. But
you got your diploma.
I got my diploma as a glass in architecture, and I got my obsession, long life obsession with this material. I know it. I worked with the hands with it, and I have these skills still. Yeah, so I can cut it and I can grind it, I can polish it, and all these things. I don't do it anymore because it's quite a work. But I really feel like also earthy in this kind of thing, together with some kind of the intellectual speculations, well, intellectual in a very modest way, I want to say, but still some kind of surplus, some kind of another floor to just applied art glass. Yeah. So yes, then later I always used it when I could in photography, in video work, and in performances.
And the performances, we see it with the glass shoes and the glass on the hand.
Yeah. This kind of.
I can't understand it how it could work.
It was glued. It was just
glued, but it was glass.
It was a glass, and I'm not afraid of glass paints. We were being a lot of time cut, and blood was normal thing in our studio, but I can manage these kind of things, and yes, for me it's a kind of membrane, kind of material, non-material membrane, because it's transparent and it is at the same time a clear division thing, so I take it as a membrane.
Anna, as we have only 1 hour, we have 30 more years or 40 more years.
Oh yes, okay.
So what was afterwards? It was 1970, and it was you have been in Prague.
No. Right after.
Right after
school. After the school,
you went to Moscow.
Yes, exactly. I just took the train and I went to Moscow, and I emigrated wrong direction.
Which year?
It was 79. 79 I emigrated, and I stayed there for next 11, 12 years until 91, when I came back to already when all this socialism model have crashed everywhere. Yeah. So this is the next thing is my Moscow stay, and I don't know where to start,
But I don't. Maybe we speak about this Prague thing a little bit later.
Oh yeah, there was a thing which was before the school.
Before the school.
It was after my A-level exam, Maturität. Somehow I was not accepted to the academy, so I was like jobless and just living like this. And we went with some friends to Prague, and by chance we joined the underground theater. And this is another thing, apart from glass. Now I can recognize it after many years. You know, I didn't know then that the improvisation and the bodily action in the theater.
A little.
Yes, is obviously that experience is an imprint for doing these kind of things. Yeah, where the theater was something of the type of Grotowski, Jerzy Grotowski, or Living Theater in New York, yeah, and also Eugenio Barba in Denmark. They were doing this kind of non-verbal, physical expression based on movement, on some kind of all types of movement. So we tried something like that in Prague. It was called White Studio, because white is the color which has all the colors. So we decided this for that title. And we never had a production, but we were like living in some kind of small commune, like 12 people. And we were trying to understand this kind of what we are doing as that time, you know, searching for the core of the being. Yeah, we believed in core of the existence, that you can find your real me. Yeah, while you improvise, while you get rid and get free of everything. You know.
And it was after 1968, after the Russian.
Yes, it was exactly after occupation. There was ban on everything. So we were just, you know, going from one place to the other. They always thrown us out. As soon as they saw what we are doing, they thrown us out. And we were at the schools, at some kind of small cultural centers, always for a few weeks. And yeah, it was a school for me. Also because it was led by a director, theater director, Miloš Horanský, also still living. And apart from the acting, apart from the spatial work, we were talking a lot. So I learned about theater a lot, about the Czech art and culture. It was really, again, a good luck.
After Moscow, you went back to Bratislava in 1991.
Yes.
And you established with other feminists a circle and had a newspaper, Accent, and you were you developed a very vivid feminist.
I was participating in the aspect as a kind of person for art, yeah. But the aspect which is known also here in Vienna, feminist circles, was a bunch of women intellectuals in Bratislava, partially from university, partially from Academy of Science, and linguistic part, yeah, and at a certain point they decided to start with feminism because someone was outside in United States. I think she came back and she said like, hey, there are texts, there are things, and we started to work with it. And again, luckily, the Frauenanstiftung from Hamburg, a women's organization, at that time decided to organize kind of a network of feminist organizations in the former Eastern East, yeah, and it was like Prague, Bratislava, Budapest, Leningrad at that time, and Zagreb, yeah, and Warsaw.
You were not connected to Soros Institute?
No, it was not. It was Heinrich Böll Stiftung and Frauenanstiftung who were giving money for these small groups of women doing absolutely every little group doing something else, having some kind of accent on something. So Bratislava did the library and the journal aspect.
And did you have an exchange to Vienna or to Hamburg or to? maybe to Zurich, you told, or it was before?
We were sort of trying to reach some moments, to know some people, but at that time it was not that easy. There were no mobiles, no internet, It was really like, who will tell you?
In Vienna, it was 1979, the first show of Valley Export. Yeah, so
and we knew about it, and we invited Valley Export to Bratislava in '95.
Really? Oh.
She was there, and she was giving a lecture with showing her work. Paradoxically, the artists community didn't know who she is, mostly, and we feminists, we knew, so we introduced her to artistic community in Bratislava, because there was always a kind of a wall, kind of post-Iron Curtain also. There was some kind of invisible wall which was not letting us to...
In our
really,
heads, it was a long time. Yeah.
But we knew a lot of feminists living here and working here in Vienna. It's Stichwort people. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's Sylvia Eibelmeier who was translated into Slovak and participated in one of the numbers. And it was Hannah Hacker who was also producing the book within the Aspect publishing house. So we made a lot of things. It was really something, and we had a sort of also echo from the society, inimical and sort of appreciating. Yeah, it was like not all the intellectual society accepted Aspect as something which is worthy to study. Also, women were reserved to it, many, but mostly the men who were in the position were showing us the finger like this and saying, "Pay attention, this is crypto-communism." Yeah. So, and we were saying, well, okay, what do you mean? Yeah, but they said like, so we had Aspect has a certain isolation. Now it is being studied and used. The library is used by the university, gender studies, So we sort of reached some kind of goal with this.
What was your goal?
The goal was to make it really a res publica, the thing which we can share with everyone, and the women would start to really come to us, and we would start to do some kind of awareness about equality, because Slovakia, yes, is a country which is living with the paradigm of first of all religion, Catholicism, and
after the communism or during the communism too.
During the communism, the Catholics were in some way looked as progressive. Looked as progressive because they were against the regime, okay. and they were the only one in Slovakia who made a demonstration in 1989. There was this kind of candles demonstration. It was old ladies from church coming with the candles, and it was the first upheaval. Public upheaval, while Czech Republic, were much more politicized, and they were the church didn't play such a role. But in Slovakia, the church looked something like a vivid, like a vigorous thing, which then turned very quickly to something completely reactionary. But in all ways, up to now, when I have to say this word,
but you made
fascism.
But you made a work about the Catholic Church, in
yes,
2011.
Yes, I did.
Did you show it at Gender Check?
No, at Gender Check it was not. It was it there during? Yes, it was. But in Gender Check I showed only photography.
Okay.
It was only two series of photography. One was the women in Moscow, taken on the street, women going always the solitaire,
It was
alone.
from 1987 or 88?
88, 89.
89, yeah.
Yeah. And I then could show it at Mumok much later. And
this spring we could see it at Künstlerhaus, at Anna Hofner's.
Yes, exactly. Anna
exhibition
Hofner was showing
whiteness as a property. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And this is the work from the mid 90s, where I'm using glass and I'm pressing it against my body. And I'm using glass and changing the visuality by this kind of non-material material thing. Yeah. So that was.
This was your first feminist work, sir.
Yeah, this was already. I was aware of doing something into the about feminism.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the process, me becoming what I am today, is really kind of a very slow and step by step changes, because I probably now, looking backwards, I was not easy to accept quickly any kind of theory or any kind of phenomenon. I had all the time this kind of freaky idea that it must go through me. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that I have to live it, and then as an artist I can speak about it, even though I know what should be done and what should be said. So I was sort of looking not political enough, mm-hmm. but it was not because I didn't want. On the opposite, I politicized myself in Moscow very, very strongly, because I went through perestroika there. But then back in Bratislava in the 90s, I really went through my sexuality, and it finally I also came out. Yeah, being 40. Yeah, so then it started. Suddenly I understood that I have to speak about this. Although knowing that Stichwort, a lot of other things, that texts we were publishing in Aspect are talking about these kind of things, but I felt like it has to go through me. Yeah. Then later, when I was speaking with some other artists, like Muda Matis in Switzerland, and there was this question of using the other bodies, and how politically correct it can be. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I remember we were talking about that. In order to avoid all this terrible question of using or abusing the other's body in your art, it's better to work with your body. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I took over this kind of idea. And
have you been in a circle of lesbian artists, or you were the only one you came out with this issue?
In Bratislava, I didn't know any other artist whom I could share this kind of like we are doing.
But at that time you had a lot of international connection. Or?
I was connected with exactly Switzerland, with Lerem Prochain, with artists from there, and there I learned a lot. And I was working with Cristina della Giustina, a Swiss artist, who was a sort of my teacher for some time in this way. So then later, end of 90s, I started to make these eroticized videos. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
with glass and hand
with kind of objects and manipulations with objects in some kind of erotic way, like washing them, but at the same time caressing them, and all this dramaturgy of orgasm. I was trying to visualize in a way, but still not being now, again, looking backwards, still not deciding for an identity, you know. I was like all the time changing or trying different slots of identity. So yeah, in Moscow, I was a sort of freak person, yeah. Freak person, and which has no name. Yeah, it was only homosexual, nothing else. Yeah,
but have you been an artist, recognized as artist?
Yes, I was recognized as an artist, but I was doing completely neutral, sexually neutral things. I was doing these paintings and these kind of things. So and then back in Bratislava in the 90s, it was suddenly me understanding, entering the circle of lesbianism, and I really joined it, and I identified myself with all this. Although, like having some questions of is it all me?
And you didn't identify in Moscow because you had a lesbian relation. It was not. You wouldn't be aware of it, or?
Oh yeah, so Moscow is a special situation, and it's special up to today. So yes, I lived with a woman in a circle of very nice and very good people, intellectuals, who absolutely accepted it as love. Okay, love allows everything. Yeah. But not as an identity. That they were denying in a way and escaping, also saying something like homosexuality, and also it was all about love is covering and legitimating all kinds of human things, apart, of course, I don't know, pedophilia, not that consequent, yeah. But at the same time, there was it was a crime according to the legislation.
Being a lesbian, it was a crime.
Homosexual relationship was prison from 5 to 8 years.
For women too. For
the women and men, whatever. And well, let's put it this way, just to give the line. 1932, Stalin introduced criminality of homosexuality. By Lenin, by before, it was not there. It didn't exist as a problem. It started 32, and it was like that until 92 or 93, when Yeltsin abolished the homosexuality as a crime again. Today it is back. Yeah, so it's this kind of thing, and probably psychologically because of that ban and because of that threat of imprisonment, people simply didn't discuss and push forward these kind of things. It was a private thing, and we were living in a kind of small private circles. I didn't know Kabakov. He was living. He had his studio was 500 meters from my studio. Yeah, I knew the house and I was visiting the house, but we never met because the life during the Soviet times was dangerous, and people were living in some kind of small private circles, you know.
But you have been a member of the Moscow Artist Circle, the official.
I had to become a member, because otherwise you have to have a paper in Russia. Otherwise you will be like Brodsky. Brodsky was imprisoned because he had no papers.
Okay.
He was a parasite. Yeah? So you can't be parasite. You have to have a paper. So I joined the youth section of Union of Artists in Moscow, which was good for nothing, but it sort of was a kind of guilt, yeah? So a shield in front of the officials.
Then we come back to Bratislava in 2000 or whatever.
Yeah.
When did you, then you became a professorship at the academy?
Yeah, that was a kind of try that I met an artist, a painter who was a professor, and at that time I was already out.
You got a painting class, or
this was a painting class,
okay.
and I was out as lesbian, as lesbian, and he was sort of interested in these kind of things. And yeah, he said, like, be my assistant. And okay. I started from assistant. Soon he got fed up with me. So, yeah, due to my work, yeah, I showed him some work and he was completely embarrassed and he decided that I have to go. And he thrown me out, yeah. He thrown me out and I told him, since we are not living in medieval times, you are not my lord. You have to go to the rector and tell him that why you are throwing me out and what is happening. Yeah? So the rector wanted to make the peace, and he decided that I will stay. And since I was one of the few who spoke English, again, by a kind of silly coincidence, I became a vice rector of the academy. Yeah. Responsible for foreign affairs. Okay. And since then, I was all the time this. Yeah. So I wouldn't go into this kind of details.
Okay. And afterwards, when did you go to Prague? 10 years later? It was
10 years later.
Yes.
10 years later.
And you had the same profession, and you became vice rector too.
Yes, exactly. But this is more nice story. The Prague is more nice story. I went there because I really was bored and really like exhausted. I felt like burnt out in Bratislava, and I felt like in Prague there was a competition for the situation with the new media studio. So I applied, and sort of I convinced people there. Yeah. And then after a while, Mr. Jiří Ševčík, whom many of you know, a Czech curator and a wonderful person, unfortunately he passed away last year, 2 years ago.
This year, this spring.
This year, yes, sorry. And Jiří Ševčík was a vice rector for foreign relations in Prague at Prague academies, and he was tired and he decided he's leaving, yeah, and I think that in some kind of confusion, a general confusion at the academy, the rector Kotelik decided that he will address me if I want to be a vice rector because I know how to do it. so I said yes. Why not?
Once
it's a better
vice
salary.
Rector, always vice rector.
Yeah, exactly, and it's a better salary, and I felt like that there is a potential in the Prague Academy. No. Which really was, and we made a little revolution there. Not me. I was one of the participants, but the main was the later rector Tomáš Vaněk, artist, who started to really criticize the whole academy, patriarchal, really elitist, really impossibly sexist situation, and he won because students stood for him.
Supported him.
Yes, and then I became a vice rector for him, and we did some good things in 8 years, really. So Prague Academy is today called itself a feminist institution. They signed the proclamation what it needs to be a feminist institution, and there is these bullet points what the institution should do and think and say. And Tomáš Vaněk signed it, so one of the few academies in Czech Republic or university in Czech Republic is a feminist institution labeled. Okay.
Anna, we have to come back. We have only 15 minutes, and we have to speak about this exhibition, I think.
Okay, let's do this exhibition. I mean, I really feel it as an important moment. Whatever. I'm in my 8th decade, and still, you know, the important thing is to see the works in the space, because when you do video, you see all in your monitor. You simply see the things like this in a you know Adobe Premiere or something small or a little bit bigger. You never see the work. In fact, you know, it's completely something else when it is shown. So for that opportunity that I could finally do a installation in the space like this, you know, means a lot for me in my professional understanding what I'm doing, and luckily I'm happy with it, you know.
It's finishing a process, a period, or...
Yeah, something I always feeling like wrapping up. Now already it's like... this is my last work, you know, and then it comes
it's
again.
Quite
something.
interesting because I don't know how it is. So one, so or what is? How is the title?
Oh yeah, title.
So one and so mine, yeah.
Yes.
What and you have some sentences here. It's like thesis or whatever, yeah.
It's footnotes.
Footnotes to you. But I read it. I can really recommend this book, everybody. Because it is so connected with this work. Yeah? It's a part of this work because you really develop a theory here and you questioning with some artists. Yeah? So it has many layers, and maybe you can tell a little bit about this process and about connecting process and all this thing. You spoke with the artists here.
Yeah. Well, this exhibition where the mental body is the
so you
the
speak
topic.
from my mental body.
Yes, my mental body is the topic. It is predated by the exhibition at Washington Gallery Corner at Whitman Walker, which was curated by Ruth Noack. And there we developed the idea of confronting mental body, my idea of mental body, with in wider context. And what happened is that 5 artists were chosen by Ruth to come together and give a different perspective on the same thing. Not all of us are queer, but yeah, most of us prevailingly queer, of course. So that happened, and there was a COVID. We couldn't meet in person, so we had some Zooms talking together. And when I got this opportunity, I thought like. And I haven't seen the work. I have seen it as a video. Yeah,
your work,
my work. Yeah, and also the other works.
Yeah.
So when it became a possibility to do it, I understood that I have to wrap it up for myself. But at the same time, there is this kind of fantastic perspectives, which are also dealing with my work as well. So I addressed all the participants of that exhibition, and we decided we are going to make a conversations. And as a trigger for conversations, I sent this sort of footnotes to it, and then the artists like now I will
Louis Michel and
Lucas Michael, Matt Storm, Andre Jackson, Maria Bartusova, yeah, in memoriam, Louis Jacob, and me, yeah, and we we did this. What was I talking about now?
About your footnotes.
Yeah, exactly. They react on what is written and what they do with the translation of materiality into non-materiality, into mentality, and these kind of things. And it is really like a sort of very different approaches, and everyone is interesting and valuable. For me, it is an enriching thing.
And how did you do it? Was it a personal? You had a Zoom conversation with every person, or was it a group?
No, it was single. Me,
okay.
and each of the participants.
Because it's very interesting. You write the time on it. It says a times code here. Yeah.
Yes. This I did for kind of precision. That it really happened in time and space via Zoom. And there is a last participant, Teresa Stokelova, who is my friend. I didn't know her before, and she's a person from non-art at all. And I felt like this will be interesting to put the view on these kind of things from the person who is doing the sociology, the ecological philosophy and activism. She's really one of the excellent and prominent intellectuals in Czech Republic. And I'm very happy that she wrote her concerns with it also. She's critical, and it's really a very good critical to this boundless mentality, which is which she's saying is also bringing in the social perspective some risks. That it is not only that the things are not only positive and couldn't be just a recipe how to do it. That it is to deliberate and think about it, what we are doing. But we have to do it, of course, at the same time.
But maybe the core we didn't tell the people. You didn't speak about the transgender body and about the techniques. This is one of the core. I wrote it, or?
Yes, of course. It is all based on non-binary existence. And we are sharing this kind of exploration of this space in between the identities. In this fluidity of the situation is something which I would say for also my friends, participants, is something of our concern to explore and bring into some kind of form, which is maybe a visualization, it may be text, it may be action, etc. So what is at stake, I hope, is a question: what qualities could this state of in between and nowhere bring in wider context, according to my momentarily practice. So I have no other tools how to express it, just my practice with my body, but in a hope that it is inspire or trigger some kind of discussion on understanding what is this non-identitarian realm of our existence good for. If there is a qualities which can help us in understanding each other better, because if to put it blatantly, we know about the identities and identities of transgender, of non-binary people. It's absolutely clearly a great thing that it's finally happening and it is here. but at the same time, we don't know much about it. It is not. It is a rich culture, but invisible. It's some kind of a lot of practices. But it is not only a appearance. When a transgender person is going on the street, and we understand that it's something. Yeah, it's not only this. It is a love life. It is concerns. It is traumas. It is a lot of other things. Traumas we already have a lot of discussions about, because this emancipation is coming through, opening and disclosing the trauma part of the life, of people who are out, But at the same time, there must be some kind of energy, some kind of coming something from that practice, which we yet didn't explore enough. So this is inspiring me and giving me also courage to show myself like this, Otherwise, I don't have a reason to, show something.
Representation of an identity, or is an artistic practice something else? You talked about a tool, but why is it relevant to do this as an artist instead of as an activist? Yeah, I mean, first of all, there is a political reason that the apparatus of art is a privileged sphere. So it needs to be done in art also for the security reasons. By this I want to say that activist is risking much more than artist. We artists are sort of safe. It's in a safe space for experimenting, for saying the things, and being very consequent or strong in these kind of things. But our lives, we are still on the safe side. While as soon as we are now in Bratislava and being queer on the street, it is something completely else to make a demo or these kind of things. And also at work and everywhere you are exposed. Yeah, so there is a risky zone of which Tamara is speaking in this other room. Tamara is speaking about that she tries to find avoid the risky zones for her life, and there she is okay. Yeah,
she is in Jakarta.
In Jakarta, yes. Still, compared to Slovakia, looks like much better conditions. Much better. She's accepted in academy under her name Tamara. Uh-huh. Which is not possible in Bratislava. It's not possible to do it just by oneself wish. It is a legislation process, this not, that not. And the last thing, the transgender people have to be castrated. In Bratislava, in Slovakia, the law is you can do it, but you will be castrated.
You will be castrated.
Yeah. Yeah, it's absolutely fascistic situation. Anyway, so what was the question?
Art. Why artists? Why an artist would do it? So you have
a safe space.
A safe space. But
safe space is.
Why are all these artists so interested in working like that? It's not about identity politics alone.
No, it is. It is definitely about the. Stepping into the realm of possible new forms or new languages or new dimensions. You always want to do it. And in art, you can do this kind of on blind, without having a theoretical background or medical or whatever scientific background. You just do it by intuition, these kind of things. And of course, this is why it should be done in art realm, definitely. And also it has an audience.
Yes.
Thank you for coming.
Anna, thank you for speaking. The hour is over.
Yeah.
And if somebody has a question, then we can do it. Otherwise, you can do it in a dialogue.
Later on.
Thank you very, very much. Anja will be here to engage in conversation if wanted. And thank you to both of you, Hedi and Anja.
Thank you.
Thank you.